One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free, then let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free, mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm standing at the crossroads, feeling like a lost soul. Don't know where I wanna go, but all I know is I wanna be free. They're telling me to let it be, but that just ain't in me, no. Jealousy and envy, but all I see is I wanna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Don't let it get the most of me. Eventually, I'm gonna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm gonna be free. Let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free, mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I told them take their aim off me, stop trying to get a name off me. If they would just let me be, I'm gonna be free. I told them take them chains off me and throw away the locks and keys. If they would just let me be, eventually I'm gonna be free.
They're back.
What up, though? What up, though? What up, though? Back again, another 7 days, and we popping out again with another episode of The Dominant Effect. Marsh Bishop. We got Aaron Olinger, and Mike Ball is not with us this evening. He had some prior engagements that he had to attend to, but I'm pretty sure he probably tuned in to listen to what's going on. So for you ones that's on Mike's side, I appreciate you being out. We got a pretty good show for you this evening. But before we get started, like always, we always check to see what everybody done. How was your week, brother?
Oh, it was great. I had a karate tournament that I went and was a vendor at this weekend in Cincinnati. It was a regional championship. Excuse me. And the winners of the tournament including the little kids, get to go to England second week of September to fight in the World Championships on the U.S. team. I got to see a lot of great fellowship, saw people I hadn't seen in years. It was a fun time, and I made a little money besides. So that always is the icing on the cake. So I'll stop there.
Well, that's what's up. That's what's up. Well, this past week has been a little bittersweet. Started out good, working like always, moving around. Today I got some news. My youngest brother, Robert, passed away this morning. So it's it's a little difficult for me to even do this show tonight, but we're gonna do it. So so if something get messed up along the way, then just chalk it up to that. So, but we're gonna try to get this. We're gonna try to get this show over with. Wasn't something that was expected. So so when you have stuff like that, it goes on. Of course, you kind of throws you for a little bit. So I'm gonna keep my composure, and we're gonna get this show going. But so as we all know, it seems like every day is something different going on. As we've been reporting over here, it's a lot of stuff that's going on here in the U.S. and it's a lot that's going on everywhere, actually, especially in the Middle East, where we got carrier groups out there. We got a lot of airstrikes going on. We had a situation where the Houthis hit one of our drones, which preceded another airstrike. There's tensions going on right now between Iran and the U.S. because they're trying to get this nuclear peace agreement done. Trying to not actually get it done, but try to go into some kind of negotiations to get it done. And of course, Iran has refused to do that. But we're gonna jump into a little bit of all of this here in just a few minutes. But I got a quick little video that I'm gonna play first. That kind of gives you a general little rundown as to what all's going on, and then we're gonna pick it up from there.
Here, though, breaking overnight, Iran's supreme leader issuing a new warning to the United States after President Trump threatened to bomb Tehran. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei warning that America will receive a strong blow if it acts on President Trump's threat over negotiations on a new nuclear deal. News Nation's Tom Dempsey has the latest from Washington. Tom, good morning to you. We're starting to really get a clearer picture here of the president's plans to turn back the clock on Iran's nuclear program.
That's right. Good morning, Mark. Some big comments coming from President Donald Trump, who says that if Iran does not make a deal to rein in its nuclear program, the United States may resort to bombing the country. He made these comments during a recent interview with NBC News. Obviously, a lot of attention on this, with President Trump putting it bluntly, quote, if they don't make a deal, there will be bombing, and it will be bombing the likes of which they have never seen before. But Iran's own president says the country has no plans to directly negotiate with the United States, writing, quote, we don't avoid talks. It's the breach of promises that has been caused issues for us so far. They must prove that they can build trust. But President Trump made it clear over the weekend he will not back down.
And we're going to either have to talk and talk it out, or very bad things are going to happen to Iran.
I would prefer a deal to the other alternative, which I think everybody in this plane knows what that is. And that's not going to be pretty.
During his first term, President Trump pulled the United States out of a deal with Iran that put strict limits on Iran's nuclear program in exchange for sanctions relief. But concerns have grown about Iran developing a nuclear weapon. President Trump sent a letter to Iran's supreme leader pushing for a deal after the UN's nuclear watchdog group, the International Atomic Energy Agency, reported earlier this year that Iran has accelerated its production of near weapons-grade uranium. Now, Iran insists that its program is for peaceful purposes, but really adding a lot onto the tension right now, Marky, is recent United States strikes against Houthi targets, with the United States accusing Iran of providing money and weapons to the terrorist group.
Yeah,
Marky?
a lot on the line there.
So what's your take on that, Aaron?
Oh, that's very serious. And I mean, the potential powder keg situation too. I mean, there's so much going on there. And I'm going to add to that video on Israel's Channel 14. They're saying that a large scale attack on Iran will begin soon. I mean, they didn't give a date, they didn't give a time, but they said it will begin soon. And this is what Israel Channel 14 is broadcasting right now. And they said the same thing, strikes on Iran to be unlike anything you've ever seen since World War II. So it looks like things is gearing up. I mean, everything is setting up. We've got 4 carriers, battle groups that are in the area. We're still waiting on one. We've got the Harry S. Truman from the USA. We got the USS Carl Vincent from the USA. France has one called Charles de Gaulle. And then India has their INS Vikrant carrier battle group there. So we got 4 right in the area that we're all going to be allied with each other. But there is a problem that's causing the coalition to kind of break apart. And I was going to say, could you put up that first picture on Iran?
Yeah, hold on. Let's see what we got here.
Everyone could see that along Iran's border on the east and the west side of Iran, we have military bases. We literally got them bracketed. And when they're saying that they're going to attack our bases, those are the bases that they're going to hit. Now, on the west side, we have some in Kuwait. We have some bases in Oman, and let's see, UAE. Now, today, seeing that they're part of the coalition, they're supposed to be on our side. They made a promise to Iran that they will not let their airspace or allow us to use our bases to attack Iran. And the news agency that reported it said and that they felt it was because Iran has threatened them with possibility of war or hitting their oil refineries or striking against them on their territory if U.S. launches any strikes from their land. So right now, part of the coalition is kind of punking out, I guess, and they said they don't want no part of this that's getting ready to happen, and they don't want their airspace being used. So, but you can clearly see we got them bracketed on the east and west side. We've got close to 70,000 troops between a certain number of bases that's right there on the border almost with them. But Iran seems to be bragging that they're going to hit them and then they're going to attack some of our Gulf states here inside the United States. Now, over the weekend, that IRGC, Iranian Republican Guard, there was a transport aircraft that landed in Venezuela over the weekend. They said that was believed to be carrying men and equipment. Now, these men could be easily smuggled from Venezuela across the Gulf of Mexico there into the Gulf states. And that's if they don't already have sleeper cells down there, which I believe they probably do. But I'm going to stop there for right now.
Okay. Now, so what I was looking at earlier, I was looking at a documentary earlier, and they was talking about the reason why Iran didn't want to have talks. And they brought up the first peace treaty that was done, the first nuclear treaty that was done, during the Obama administration that was then kicked out. And then that one there was supposed to be in, if they did that particular deal, then they were supposed to relieve some sanctions. And then now this one, that the reason why they were thinking that Iran didn't want to have direct talks. They said they were fine with indirect talks, but not direct talks. And they were saying that they didn't know which Trump they were dealing with. They didn't know whether they was dealing with deal maker Trump or whether they was dealing with maximum pressure Trump. And then they were talking about the pressure that they were getting from the U.S. and the Europeans to do this deal. So one of the other videos that I had watched earlier, where they were talking to the generals in Iran, and they were calling these American bases glass houses, saying basically people in glass houses don't throw stones because they're easily within striking distance of them, and
Right.
and actually, push the issue that they would actually hit these bases if fired upon. Now, you see that on that end. And then just the other day, they were trying to seize 2 oil tankers that was in the Strait of Hormuz. And of course, the Navy intervened in that and was able to stop that. But they were saying that they didn't have anything to do with that. But there's actual video showing them shooting at this tanker. They had bullets from where it had actually hit. I'm thinking I may have taken something down with that. Hold on a second. I think I may have something on there dealing with that. There's no sound to it, but it's the actual camera footage as to what happened. It's only probably about 30 seconds, but you could see them being behind them and them actually shooting at this tanker. I'm not sure whether this is a drone that's videoing this. I'd probably say that's probably what it was.
Right.
But but shortly after that, it was a U.S. destroyer that intervened, and the Iranian ships turned back and went back. But then, of course, they said that they didn't have anything to do with it. But there's like I said, you got the video on it, and the actual tensions that's going on there is getting steep.
Yeah.
And it's kind of one of them. How do you put it? I'm gonna call you bluff. You saying you're gonna do this? I'm gonna call you bluff. I'm gonna see what you're gonna do. Now they were talking about this letter that Trump has sent, and I actually found something that told exactly what that letter said. Now, in that letter, from what I got out of it, it honestly wasn't like a threatening letter. It actually started out where, him saying that he wanted to make a deal and where it would be, feasible for both parties to be able to make this deal. Now, he did put in the threat that if you did not do this deal, what was going to happen. He did put that on the end. But the overall letter itself didn't sound bad at all. I'm gonna play it so that way you can. Had you actually read the letter that they put out?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay, I'm gonna play this right quick.
Breaking news, an unconfirmed report is surfacing of what exactly was written in the letter Trump wrote to Iran's leader, Khamenei. Here is what the letter says. Your Excellency Ayatollah Khamenei, With respect for your position and the people of Iran, I write this message to you with the aim of opening new horizons for our relations, far from the years of conflict and misunderstandings we have witnessed in past decades. The time has come to abandon enmity and open a new chapter based on mutual cooperation and respect. Today, too, there is a historic opportunity before us. The United States, under my leadership, is ready to take a major step toward peace and easing tensions. We can work together to lift sanctions, empower the Iranian economy, and open the doors of cooperation between our countries. This is not only in the interest of our peoples, but also in the interest of stability and peace in the Middle East and the entire world. But I warn you, if you reject this outstretched hand, and if the Iranian regime chooses the path of escalation and continued support for terrorist organizations and military adventures, then our response will be decisive and swift. We will not remain idle in the face of your regime's threats to our people or our allies. Peace is not weakness. It is the choice of the strong. The Iranian people are a great people who deserve a better future, far from isolation, poverty, and suffering. If you are ready to negotiate, we are ready too. But if you persist in ignoring the demands of the world, history will record that you missed a tremendous opportunity. With respect. What do you think of this? Let us know in the comments.
So what do you think of that?
Well, I'm with you. It sounded pretty good. It sounds like he wants to bring them to the negotiating table, sit down and talk. Apparently, the threat at the end doesn't help things, but it also puts a sense of urgency on them because they can't sit back and play for time. Because last year, later in the year, those earthquakes that were all 4.5 and lower was rumored to be underground nuclear tests that they were doing, and they could be playing for time right now. And Trump is trying to bring them to the table real quick so they don't have time to hurry up and make something. I personally believe they already got it. I mean, just recently, Iran has been moving missiles and advanced weapons to some islands. One is called Greater Tom, the other one's called Lesser Tom, and the other one is called Abu Masia Islands. And missiles on those islands are in range of the Strait of Hormuz. So if you hit their batteries on the shore, the missile batteries that they've got hidden on these islands can still hit the strait, and they can shut that strait down. And we already know the Houthis are going to shut down the Suez Canal and the Red Sea. So that's going to cause the price of oil to skyrocket. And who's going to benefit from that? Russia will. Russia, Venezuela, any country who bases the value of their dollar on their oil production is going to benefit. Because when oil goes up, the value of their money goes up. When barrel of oil price is low, then their people suffer because their money's not worth much. So Russia also has sanctions on them against their oil, but China right now is the number one purchaser. China does not produce oil. They count on getting it from other countries. So that this whole thing is coming to a head. I mean, when we tried to choke off Japan during World War II, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor when we put an embargo against them, and we wouldn't let them get oil. If China cannot get the resources that they need to keep their growing economy going, that's going to put things on a war footing with them. But I'm also going to say that, and the fact that Iran has moved missiles, we have a fleet of 20 Spirit V-2 bombers. That's our stealth bombers. We sent 7 of them, plus 6 refueling tankers to the Diego Garcia Island, which is a British territory. Now, to be able to fly from there to Iran, that's a 4,000-mile trip, and those planes are going to have to be refueled in air. We only got 20 of them, and they're sending 7 to 8 right there to that location. Now, Iran has clearly stated that they may do a preemptive strike and strike that island to destroy those stealth bombers. Now, some of those stealth bombers have been used to bomb the Houthis, but I guess Iran's not going to sit still and wait for those to come in and bomb them. But I'll stop there for right now.
You know, they, like I said, one of the things that you said is absolutely, I think is absolutely correct in the fact that I think they are trying to buy time. I think they're actually working on something, and they waiting. They just trying to buy as much time as they can to get that completed. You know, when they were talking about hitting Diego Garcia, they was also talking about using a new weapon that they had as a preemptive strike on Diego Garcia. Now, yes, Diego Garcia is a British owned island, but you have the U.S. on one side, the British on the other side, and all you ones is listening that was in the Navy like myself, you know that Diego Garcia, nobody wants to go to Diego Garcia, man. It's an island. It's just that you out there. You know what I mean? You got undertow on one side, shark infested on the other. I mean, when you there, you there. You know what I mean? It ain't nowhere else to go. But this, for you to keep making threats the way you making threats, you know that you got something under your sleeve. You know they got something under your sleeve. They're just waiting just to see exactly what Trump is actually going to do. That gives them, you know, ample reason to do it to where they feel that they're justified for doing it. You know, now in just those bases that we were showing on the picture, you got over 50,000 U.S. troops that's in those bases that's in Iran. And you have over 100,000 troops abroad that's in other areas closely to Iran as well. So you're looking at a little over 150,000 total in that area. It could be actually massive depending on what happens. Like whoever does something first, because then you have to worry about the other ones that's going to jump in. You know what I mean? So like with Iran, you got Russia, you got China. You know what I mean? And then, you know, you already have tensions already dealing with both of them. Then you have India that's involved right now because of the tariff situation. So everything over there is pretty volatile. You know what I mean? Then you got China right now. They running these military drills around Taiwan, but they doing them real close now. You know, and I think probably one of the reasons why they're doing it is because that particular area there, the water in that particular area is like extremely rough in that area, and they can only get their close support in during certain months. I think it was like March and October, if I'm not mistaken, because that's during the water is relatively easy in that area. Am I correct?
Yes, it's actually April and October. Yeah.
April and October. Okay. What did I say? November?
You said March and October.
March. Okay. So so now they running those drills there, which is kind of like, it kind of puts you in the mind of what happened between Russia and Ukraine. Remember, Russia was doing their little drills until it didn't become a drill anymore. You know what I mean? And they put that out like, hey, we just gonna be doing these drills, blah 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 blah, and then all of a sudden they cross the border and they hitting targets. You know what I mean? Which could be the exact same thing for them, but hitting Taiwan, now that's a totally different thing. You know what I mean? Because we done already made an agreement that we're going to defend Taiwan. But if you have sitting that's heading over to, well, that's not heading to, but already there near Iran, that's in the Red Sea, that's in the Persian Gulf, that's ready for a situation to go on there. You have a carrier group that's going between Taiwan and Japan that's going back and forth. So you running thin here. You know what I mean? So it could easily go on in either spot. You know what I mean? This could go on in Taiwan first, and then while you pulling carrier units and all that to go deal with that, then you got something else dealing over here. You know what I mean? And you talk about two different places. You know what I mean? It's not like you can take off and get over there that quick. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to. It's gonna take time for those carrier groups to get there. But then too, you got to rely on your troops that's in Japan, the ones that's in Australia, to be and the ones that's on that little island in between Taiwan and China to basically hold it down until you're able to do that. Yeah. So we gotta let me see. I think I have something dealing with these drills here too. We'll pop out one and then we'll jump into, I think we got a picture thing on here that you want to talk about as well. So we're gonna play this video first though.
In a show of force, China sent a dozen warships and over 70 military aircraft in drills encircling Taiwan. China's foreign ministry said the exercises are, quote, a strong deterrent against separatist forces advocating for Taiwan independence, calling Taiwan's president, Lai Ching-te, a parasite. This is not the first time. Back in May, a simulated attack on the territory included live-fire missile exercises. But today's move comes at a pivotal moment for the world economy, just a day before President Trump's anticipated tariff announcements. President Trump has recently said that an invasion of Taiwan would be catastrophic.
So it would have a big impact if something should happen with Taiwan.
At the end of his Asia tour on Sunday, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said the U.S. would ensure a credible deterrence across the Taiwan Strait. And Taiwan is preparing, holding its own war drills in the critical waterway last month, simulating a Chinese invasion, calling China the world's biggest troublemaker.
So what you got, brother?
Well, I'm going to tell you like this. Can you put the picture up, and then I'll talk while the picture's up. Is picture 2, I believe it was. Yeah. Okay. What you're seeing here is called Operation Encircle. Yes, they have a certain amount of ships, but that amount has increased. They have actually a carrier battle group that's enforcing this, and they're also using their Coast Guard. As you can see, they have encircled it, and the circle is getting smaller. It's not as broad as it was. They're getting real close. And that's almost a provocation of war right there. And then it gets worse because the Chinese Coast Guard is saying that they will patrol and conduct law enforcement patrols around Taiwan. They're going to stop ships. They're going to do pre-inspection, make arrests. They're going to do interception and seizure and other enforcement. Question is this a blockade that they're setting up? And if it is a blockade, that's an act of war. What authority do they have to stop ships that are going to Taiwan? They have brought in their missile forces, their army, they've got warships, they got drones flying, and they got aircraft flying. And they're using the Coast Guard. And you can see how close they're getting to the island itself. I mean, that looks like a blockade to me. But I'll let you go from there. You can take it down now if you want, Bishop.
Yeah, that's definitely what they're doing. They're they doing their surprise, a big surprise. So nobody knew that they was going to do this. And normally when you're going to do military drills and stuff like that, you usually let somebody know, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing. So when you see us, this is all I'm doing. They didn't do any of that. They just jump right out. All of a sudden, boom, you see all these ships coming around. So and they've been doing flybys and all that stuff too. So this surprise air and naval drill around Taiwan was to serve as a warning against support for recognizing the island's independence. Because, well, you know, Taiwan, which was democratic ran since the 1940s, and has been viewed by China as being their territory, even though they're not. You know what I mean? But of course, you know what I mean, you got the whole back and forth thing that's been going on for years doing that. And China's right now, they're trying to claim territory all the way up almost to Australia as being theirs. You know, so with Beijing, they basically saying that this is a Chinese territory, and anyone there that's quote quote their leaders are considered as parasites to China. But the main thing, and you know, just like I know, it's not about them taking that island. It's about what's on the island. And what's on the island are those chips. And that's what they want. You know, even though they have been, I remember back last year when they were talking about that, and they were saying they were taking a lot of those Taiwanese people, bringing them over to the U.S. because they were building the factories over here to be able to make those chips in lieu of China making their threats to Taiwan, because they said, okay, if you invade this, then we're going to blow the factory up and you're not going to get no chips anyway. We're just going to blow the damn thing up. But that's all that they want out of that, though. They want to be able to control those chips, because if you control those chips, then you basically can control everything else, because everything runs on those chips and those microprocessors. Everything that you have, whether it's computers, cell phone, anything electronic, runs off of those chips. That was the reason why Russia was having such a big problem, where they were, you know, pulling stuff from old equipment, refurbishing it, putting it over into other equipment, because they didn't have the chips. They didn't have the chips to actually run a lot of this stuff that they were trying to use. So if this takes place here, you're spread it out thin. You really are, because you're gonna have to deal with this over here. You're gonna have to deal with Taiwan. You got to keep something over there to defend Israel. You got to keep something over in the Red Sea and over in the Persian Gulf, just in case they decide to do something over there. You're talking about, you know, taking Greenland. We're running out of shit. You're running out of troops. You know what I mean? What do? You're running out. You know what I mean? So in your opinion, which one do you think? Now, we got three different things going on here. Well, actually four. Well, let's just say three, because nobody's acted on Greenland yet. So let's just say three. You got Israel, you got Iran, and you got Taiwan. Which one would you think is more important, and why?
Well, man. Well, let me say this about Gaza. Israel asked again for Gaza or Hamas to release the hostages. Hamas said no this week. We already know that a couple of weeks ago, Israel stopped the food shipments that they were shipping to Hamas for relief, and that was to try to put pressure on Hamas to release the hostages. Now, yesterday, Israel switched gears. I mean, this is a major move that they made. They started ramping up the strikes in Gaza, and they're gaining ground. So, but you see, before they'd go in and they would clear the ground, they'd clear the terrorists or whatever, and then pull out, and then the terrorists would go back in. Now they switched gears. Netanyahu announced yesterday that any land Israel captures, they're not giving it back. they're going to keep it, and they're putting it in Hamas's lap and in the Palestinians' lap that we can stop this now if you give the hostages back, or as we push you back, we're going to seize your land and we're not giving it back. So will that bring them to the negotiating table? I don't know, but they can push them into the sea if they want to, and they will never get that land back. They will have to go to Jordan or somewhere else that would take them. And before, nobody wanted them. Even their own Arab brothers didn't want them. That's the reason why Israel had to give them the Gaza Strip, because nobody would take them. So right now, oil is the big thing that's going on. The world runs on it. So I'm going to go with the Middle East. But we've made it clear to Europe that they're going to have to stand and hold their own against the Soviet Union, because we're going to have our hands full in the Middle East. And we're going to have our hands full with China. Now, for those who don't know, in the news, gold hit a new record. Silver is in a high territory as well. But yesterday it was 31.33. Now it's 31.58 an ounce. And experts are predicting 4,000 and 5,000 an ounce gold. Everybody is buying precious metals. They're jumping from stocks into precious metals right now, which would indicate that we've either lost control of the markets or things is worse than what they're telling us it is, or it could be a combination of both right now. But one thing is for sure, I mean, they had one person that bought $20 billion of gold. They had another person yesterday out of 8,000 something contracts for platinum. This person came in and bought 5,000 of them. I think it's 5,300 and something. I mean, there's major moves being made toward precious metals, and people are running for the safe havens right now, which again, if the money and the currency is good, it shouldn't be happening. And if gold keeps going up like it is, then that only indicates one thing, and that is the American dollar is losing value. We're seeing almost three types of warfare happening simultaneously. We got an economic war that's happening. We got a trade war that's happening. And we might be moving into, I'm sorry with the finger, we might be moving into a world war that can happen. Because, I mean, this is a major powder keg here. And the losers, even in the economic war, their economies are going to be destroyed. Their value, their money is going to be destroyed. This is major. And I hope people wake up to what's going on. But I'll stop there for right now.
You know, I was so to the question that I asked you between the three, which one I think is more important? Me personally, I think Taiwan is more important.
Okay.
Being the fact of what you could lose by letting China overtake Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
That would truly put them on a bigger course of being an actual dominant power.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Taiwan would be the first place that I would make sure that was secure first. Now, with Iran, of course, you want to work out a nuclear deal with them. And I think being that the amount of sanctions that they already have, they would eventually give in to be able to release some of those sanctions, because, you know, they just had an election here recently. And one of the things that president was promising was to be able to relinquish some of these U.S. sanctions. So I think a lot of that dealing with Iran is a lot of tough talk. Really ain't gonna be about nothing. I think Taiwan is gonna be more important. With Israel, you have to think like, yes, it is important, but they've been battling since the beginning of time. You ain't gonna never have peace over there. It ain't never gonna happen. You know what I mean? Now, being able to have their back and hold them down to make sure that they don't. Yeah, I'm with you on that. But being the fact that your forces are thinned out across the world as they are, I mean, one has to take a little bit more precedence than the other. I mean, I think Taiwan would be the biggest one because you have more to lose on that one. Because whoever controls those chips controls the world. Just my thinking.
Mm-hmm.
But with but even with okay, so let me jump on to that one. Now you talking about the gold and silver. The gold and silver jumped up. And that what would you say was 50 was a 20 billion that was bought just here the other day?
Yeah, by a single person.
But they
just
never
couldn't
did.
figure out who it was.
So you don't know whether it was an actual country that bought it or
Right. Or if it was an individual, but the buyer stepped out on the floor and bought $20 billion.
mm-hmm.
And that caused a panic because people felt like maybe that person knew something. And then a bunch of other people started jumping in, trying to bid on that, silver and platinum. I mean, precious metals, everybody's jumping to it right now. I mean, if the current paper currency start to go belly up, it's the precious metals that's going to be the real money in the end.
Well, you know, this is one of the things that we've been talking about for the longest anyway, about the dollar actually dropping and being the fact that the dollar isn't backed up under anything right now, hasn't been backed up under anything since June. You know, it's steady depreciating in value. You know what I mean? And that was because remember back before it crested 3,000, when it was running right around 2,600, is when I brought up that it was roughly right around, it was at $70 per 100. So now that you over 3,000, it's probably close to maybe 65 per 100, and it's steadily dropping. You know what I mean? Not to mention, you know, with the stock market dropping, you know, 800 points, 700 points, 600 points. I mean, and this has been a daily occurrence that this stuff is going on. You know, how much more power can this thing hold on? Now, here's my question to you. Being the fact that the dollar is dropping the way it's dropping, do you think or do you see it being a turnaround to where the dollar goes up? Or do you think this is an intentional thing to drop the dollar to be able to bring on CBDC?
Well, as they say, don't let no good disaster go to waste. I do feel it's intentional, but also what I'm seeing happening is, and it's on an equal footing, I'm seeing the world is preparing for war and economic collapse happening all at the same time. So you bring in the war, as the economy start to fold, then you can bring in the CBDCs, but people are going to have to suffer enough that they're going to be willing to accept that economic reset and that new currency that's going to come in. So, but we are definitely preparing for a war and economic collapse all at the same time. I'll stop there.
You know, I was at when I was at work today, we were talking about this, and this guy that was talking, he kept talking about you know how sometimes people just be talking. Sometimes they don't know what the hell they're talking about, they just be talking. And he was talking about how the dollar was still holding as strong as it ever has. And I was like, well, where you get that from? And he was like, well, they going through and they weeding out the government stuff. And when they do that, the dollar's going to be on man. They don't got shit to do with the dollar. Said, what is the dollar backed under? He said, what do you mean? Just what I said. What is it backed under? Was backed under gold? No, it's not. It ain't been backed up under gold since 72. Pick something else. So I went through and explained it to him as to what all was going on, and how much it actually is worth now. Holding in your hand is not worth what you think it is. That $20 here is not worth $20 anywhere else. So so I bought up the thing about the CBDC, and he was like, "No, don't want that. Where everybody know what the government know what all you spending and this." I'm like, "Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing now." And they're actually trying this in other countries now. Australia, they're trying it there as well. I said, but see, here's the thing, though. They know that if you pop up and you say, okay, we're going to go into a centralized banking system where there is no more paper dollars and everything is electronic, and the government will be able to know every dime that you spending and what you're spending it on and whatever. Nobody would agree to that. Everybody would say no. Why? Because it's invading your privacy. You know what I mean? How you going to tell me what I can spend my money for? That's what they're going to say. I said, but if you crash this dollar and you crash that dollar down to the point that it ain't worth the paper that it's printed on, you will beg them to have it. And that's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to crash that shit in order to bring on the new. I mean, now, I know to some people, they may think, you know what, that's a far-fetched conspiracy theory. But that theory right there could damn sure happen. And the rate that it's going, because you think about this, all the stuff that's been going on, they're talking about, going through these different programs and figuring out fraud and abuse and all this other stuff. Nobody has came on there not one day and said that they had a way to be able to bring that dollar back up. Nobody has said that one time how they were going to bring this, and actually do it to where this dollar is backed up under something. Now, they said at one point they were going to use Bitcoin, which I think that's a volatile. That's not going to work. You know what I mean? That's all electronic. Hell, you cut the power, that shit gone. You know what I mean? You got to have something tangible to be able to pull this dollar back up to where it's supposed to be. This is one of the things that we've been talking about. We talk about this, and this is coming out. But let's stick to what's really important here. How are you going to make this dollar back the way it used to be? What are you going to back it under? Because it ain't oil, and it damn sure ain't going to be gold because it's a gold shortage, and then everybody trying to buy everything that they're trying to do. I mean, just like we were talking earlier, China even threatened, well, you know what? I'm going to give you back your treasury. Give me my money. You know what I mean? What they going to do? Because they know that they don't have the money to pay them.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So what better way to do that? Like I said, it may sound far-fetched, but it can very well happen. Go ahead, what you going to say?
Okay, I'm going to back up what you're saying by saying this. If the dollar was totally sound, why are the states printing their own money once again? They're coming out with gold backs. They're already out.
Matter of fact, let me grab mine.
Okay. You got 6 or 7 states that are printing their own money. And the back of them are solid gold. They're made of gold, and it's impregnated into the bill. And the front of it's got nice artwork, and it'll say Nevada, New Hampshire, South Dakota. It'll have whatever state that's issuing their own money, because they don't believe in the dollar. They don't believe in the security of the dollar. So they're right now coming out with their own currency. And as you can see, the back is solid gold. And you have this nice artwork on the front, and it would tell you the state that's issuing that. That looks like, is that Florida? That one there?
This one's Florida.
Okay. But they're issuing their own money. And if the states believed in the Federal Reserve's greenbacks were so powerful, there would be no need for them to do that. I mean, the states quit issuing their own money a long time ago. Back in the early 1900s, everything went to the central bank and the Federal Reserve printing the nation's currency. Now the states, some of them are printing their own damn money. And that would show lack of faith in what we've got out there. And I wish I'd been there, because I'd sure threw that up at that guy that was talking about the American dollar being stronger than ever. Because if that's the case, then why are states printing their own money? But I'll stop there.
Well, you know what? That was as I brought up too, as well, when I was when I was talking about this, and I actually had them with me, and I showed them. And to you guys is watching, these right here, like I said, they're small. They're made out of 24 karat gold. Now, they have them in all denominations, 1, 5, 10s, 20s, 50s, 100s. And depending on the denomination you get, the more gold is in them. So now this is just going back probably about 2 weeks ago, but $100 gold back is actually worth like almost $600. The $1 gold backs now, well, when we was getting them, they were right around $6, $7. Now they close to 10, because when the gold prices go up, these go up as well because they're made out of gold. So, right now you got people saying, well, okay, I don't have $3,100 to be spending on an ounce of gold. Here you go. Here you go. Because like Aaron said, they would not be making these if they did not know something else was getting ready to go on. They would not be making them. So you can go on different bullion sites. We went on SD Bullion and got these. You can go to a lot of like the coin stores and stuff like that. Some quite a few of them carry these. You can get them in the different states that they have. But like I said, these here, if you don't have $3,100 that you can be dropping on an ounce of gold at a time, it'd be good. It'd behoove you to rack up on these gold backs. And you can thank us later. Also, the silver running right around $33 an ounce. It would behoove you to get a hold of some of that as well. I think copper still running right around $4.
Yeah.
But if things keep going the way it's going now, silver and gold is going to be the two that's going to jump the quickest. So getting it low now will pay off a year from now when you're looking at silver over $50, $60, or even more than that, depending on what all's going on here. Because what you're looking at right now is a powder keg, and it's festering. Something is going to happen. War is going to be imminent. Now, it really all depends on how things go as to who's going to prevail there. I mean, Trump even said himself the other day that we about to fall into some dark times. It's about to be some really hard times. Now, he's already put it out there. And I seen three different videos the other day. One in Australia, one in the UK, and one from the EU. That's basically telling their people to stock up and get ready, because they had something going on. Now, of course, you don't really hear that here until the other day when I heard him say that we're going to be facing some dark times. Just today, for instance, if you notice, gas prices shot up. So I passed the gas station last night. It was like $2.89. Okay, I'll get it in the morning. I forgot that stuff was getting ready to, take place. So I got up this morning. Okay, I'm gonna shoot to the gas station. Went to the gas station. It went from $2.89 to $3.45 overnight. So luckily, I found this one gas station that hadn't jacked up yet, because they wasn't planning on jacking the price up until 10 o'clock. And I got there like a little after 9 and was able to get it at $2.89, because when I passed back through there this evening, $3.45. So these prices is going to start going up. We're going to start taking the pinch. We're going to start feeling the pinch, whether you realize this or not. And we've been talking about this forever, it seemed like. I mean, it seemed like we've been talking about this till we blue in the face. It's coming. Whether you want it to or not, it's coming. So the best thing for all of us to do, be a little bit more proactive, get your stuff together, because it's coming a lot quicker than you think. I mean, pay attention to Taiwan and Iran, because them two right there, one is going to trigger the other. They're going to try one over here, everybody going to shoot here, they're going to do something here, or vice versa. But it's going to happen between one of those two. Whichever one do something first, the other one's going to counter. You're going to stretch everybody out. World War is going to commence.
Yeah. Could you put up the third picture, if you don't mind?
Third picture. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, hold on. Okay.
Yeah, I want to put this up because I want everybody to realize that in 1945, we were in the middle of getting close to the end of World War II. American public were issued food ration cards because the military got first pick. Now in 45, it says America grew 45% of their food in their backyard gardens. That's almost half. The front yards were for herbs and spices to be grown. The backyards was for the gardens. In 2020, Americans only grew 1% of their food in backyard gardens. We have become totally dependent upon the system for our food. If we get into a war footing, people should be prepared. They should have seeds on hand that they could start to plant in their backyard and go back to those skills. Start doing some reading, start doing some research, because we're right at the edge of the abyss. Something's getting ready to go down. The world's getting ready for it. And if it's an economic collapse at the same time and they start rationing things, like I went to Sam's Club the other day and you were allowed to only buy 2 cartons of eggs. They had a limit of 2 per person. When they start limiting your purchases, it's harder to stock up. But if you're growing your own, or if you got backyard chickens or rabbits or different things that you're growing, you stand a better chance of weathering the storm if you're not totally relying upon a system that can pull the rug out from you underneath you at any time to get good and ready. So take take a lesson from the past and be prepared for the future. I'll stop there.
You know what? Somebody was telling me just today that they were at Sam's Club, and they had restrictions as certain things that you can buy that you could only get like 2 of, and they came in, was talking about it. So yeah, especially eggs, especially them. I think there was restrictions on eggs, and what was it? Eggs, milk, and something else that they were putting a restriction on that was here. Not saying that it was everywhere, but for what we've seen here. But yeah, but what you got here is absolutely right. I mean, everything is kind of fell off, you know what I mean, throughout the years because you didn't have to. You know what I mean? I think that's what the biggest problem is here. You know what I mean? Everybody's got comfortable. They got real relaxed and complacent. And you know what I mean, you don't have to worry about doing that stuff no more. You could just go to the store and get it. You know. I mean, I still got my little garden out here. Remember, I told you I was doing that experiment out here just to see if I could keep those plants growing and producing for a full year without actually dying out. And like I said, I planted those March of last year, and they're still producing. They stayed up and they've still been producing. I haven't had to put anything new in them, and they've been just spitting them out. You know what I mean? So I got that one in there. That's like I got like 4 different type of pepper in one, and then like I said, I got those instead of planting them in the ground. I got those totes. You know, like the big totes that you get when you're going to store clothes and stuff like that. Got one of them. Well, I got several of them, and drilled holes on the bottom. put some compost down, then put fertilizer, then put topsoil, mixed all that up in there, and then they just been continuously growing. You know what I mean? So I did it as an experiment just to see if I could do it. You know what I mean? If I could keep them alive that long. You know what I mean? Instead of them dying out, because like where you're at, of course, you would have to bring them in order to do that. Where in Florida, weather stays pretty nice all year round. You got a couple of cold spells here and there, but it stayed. I kept them outside the whole time and didn't have a problem. So they did pretty good. So I'm thinking about next week going in and getting some more. And then when we start those courses, then I'm going to take those and plant those. But we're going to shut it down for the evening. Actually, I think I did pretty good. I didn't know whether I was going to make it the whole time. You know what I mean? My mind is truly not here. You know what I mean? But like I said, I appreciate everybody that stayed on with us. Like, follow, share, subscribe, hit the like button, pass the video out so that way more people can watch it. Go in there, check out the Dominant Effect store. We got a lot of stuff going on in there. And here soon, me and Aaron here are going to be doing, we got another thing we're going to be doing. We're going to actually do the courses dealing with survival, prepping, what you need to do, the ins and outs, and how to build a lot of this stuff that we're talking about. So it's another embargo that we're going to be working on. That we should have it out here within the next month or so. But just to get people ready, you know what I mean? And you can get those courses and go through and look at them, and it'll tell you exactly how to build this stuff and what to use it for and the reason why you need it. And so that way I can get you a little bit more prepared. It's a lot of stuff that you can use that you probably had no idea that you could use. So this is a lot of stuff that we're going to be doing. But like I said, once again, I appreciate everybody for being here. Much love to everyone. And go ahead, Aaron.
Well, like I said, we're witnessing economic warfare, trade warfare going on, and the end result could be actual war. We're seeing nations preparing for economic collapse at the same time they're preparing to go to war. The handwriting's on the wall, people. Stop procrastinating. Get yourself started. Sooner you start, the better off you're going to be when everything goes down and they start rationing stuff, because you'll have everything already stocked up. So stop waiting around, get yourself going, and thrive through what we're getting ready to face. And I'll stop there.
All right, people. Appreciate you once again. Thank you all for coming out, and we'll see you again next week.